What's going on, guys? My name is Trevor and welcome back to my channel. This past weekend, the New Mutants came into theaters, and it now makes it that we have 13 movies inside the X-Men franchise. We're going to rank all 13 of those movies, place them on their proper tiers. Go ahead and join me down below in the comments. How does your guys' ranking compare with mine? Would you place some movies lower, some movies higher on these tiers? And with all that said, let's get right into our tiers. First up, we have amazing, then we have great, then we have good, then we have okay, then we have meh, then we have bad. And I want to start off by saying this, I don't hate any of these movies. I actually might be one of my top 5 favorite franchises. I rewatched them all this past week with the New Mutants, and I love them quite a bit, and these are in no particular order. So, first up, we have Deadpool. The first Deadpool easily has to go in the amazing tier. This is easily the first movie of its kind. Ryan Reynolds pretty much playing Ryan Reynolds, breaking the fourth wall. This is like a superhero romantic comedy, action comedy. It's something we've never seen before, and Ryan Reynolds getting blown up and have all these funny little one-liners like, did I leave the stove on? His body parts just getting blown up, thrown everywhere. This movie is something we've never seen before, and when we got it, I was like, I want to see more of this, and that leads us into Deadpool 2, which I actually prefer more than Deadpool, the first one, so this goes in the amazing tier as well. Josh Brolin's character was just so intriguing, and once they brought him in, I was like, he's Thanos, and now he's Cable, and I'm digging both, and you have Ryan Reynolds back, and you have all this little team back, this weird little misfit X-Men group that I'm so excited in this franchise, and I hope we get to see another Deadpool someday. Maybe Deadpool inside the MCU would be even sweeter. Next up, we have Logan. This is one of my favorite X-Men movies. Maybe my favorite, but Logan easily has to go in the amazing tier. This is James Mangold's masterpiece, in my opinion. And this, honestly, could have got nominated for Best Picture, Best Director, and honestly should have got nominated for Best Actor. This is such a dark, weird, twisted, just kind of like evil and sad X-Men movie. Patrick Stewart easily should have got nominated for a Best Supporting Actor, but Hugh Jackman as Wolverine is just a standout here and has a very emotional ending where Logan, Hugh Jackman, finally dies, and he has the line that's what it feels like. This movie's gruesome, it's dark, and it is straight bad ass. Love every second of it. James Mangold's masterpiece, as I said. Next up, we have The Wolverine, James Mangold's other movie, and this is going to go in the good tier. This has a lot of potential. I like the beginning, how he goes into the bar and he basically kills all those hunters because they left the bear and they shot him with poison. That is so cool. But this film, the CGI in this film isn't the best. And this film's story never really captivated me like some of the rest. So I enjoy it. I don't rewatch it as much as the others, but I definitely enjoy it nonetheless. Next up, we have the first X-Men, and I'm going to put the first X-Men in the good tier as well. I rewatched this movie for the first time in years this past weekend, and although I enjoyed it, the third act is extremely underwhelming. I was expecting some big finale showdown, and we didn't necessarily get that, but that's the only kind of big nitpick I have for putting it in the great or even amazing tier. But up until that point, meeting all these characters, you have Scott and Wolverine's banter back and forth, Cyclops and Logan, that is just hilarious banter. You get to go meet all these new mutants at the school. Magneto is a menacing villain, and you have all these little plots and twists. They're who are these people and where are we going to go? And it kind of foreshadows everything else we get inside this franchise. I enjoy it a lot. I just don't love it. Next up is Dark Phoenix, and Dark Phoenix is going to go, if it clicks, is going to go in the okay tier. I didn't hate this movie. I know a lot of people hated this movie. I don't like the whole Phoenix story so much. We try to see that with X-Men: The Last Stand, which we're going to get to here in a little bit, but even the Phoenix story is something that hasn't got done right, and I don't think it ever will, and it kind of just jumbles up the whole timeline. When this happens, I was like, okie dokie. Taking this movie, it just doesn't fit anywhere really in its timeline, and that's what kind of makes me upset with this X-Men franchise, that the timeline it's extremely jumbled, and sometimes it's hard to follow, and if you're not following it closely, you're going to be extremely confused as to what movie goes where and where this all goes. But Dark Phoenix it's an okay movie at best. Next up is X-Men: The Last Stand. And I'm going to put X-Men: The Last Stand in the good tier just because I watched this movie as a kid almost every weekend with my friends. This movie was always on in my house or one of my friend's house. And it's one of the more boring X-Men movies, but I don't know why. This is the one we watched the most, and the original X-Men trilogy might be one of my favorites. I enjoy it so much, and X-Men: The Last Stand holds a lot of sentimental value inside me, and it's a lot of nostalgia when I go back and watch it. It makes me feel like a little kid all over again. Next, though, is X-Men Apocalypse. I'm going to put X-Men Apocalypse in okay as well. Apocalypse is the villain that he wants to take out humanity and take out mutants, and I'm like, that's just a very mediocre villain with no real like drive. I just want to kill everyone. You're like, I'm not really interested in you. Other than that, that's kind of my biggest problem here. If you have a villain who's like the main focal point of the story, and he's not very good, I'm not gonna enjoy the movie that well. And also the beginning when they're trying to like make him and all that, it's just weird. It's really weird. Cool, it's X-Men. We get all of our characters back, which is awesome. But the villain himself is just not the best. That's my opinion. You might disagree with me, but that's where I stand. Next up is X2, X-Men United. Easily has to go in the amazing tier. My favorite of the original X-Men trilogy. One of my favorite sequels of all time. This movie is so badass. This movie is so funny. Logan and Scott's banter is carrying on through here. You have so much action that is just so glorious to see. The only problem here I have is it's about 20 minutes, maybe too long. Certain times it could have been like, yes, it could have ended right here. And it doesn't, but then we get lots of glimpses into Logan's like future, or his past, I mean, where like Stryker's torturing him and doing all these things, and that's what leads into the X-Men Origins movie that's coming up here in a little bit. But we get lots of like glimpses into Logan's past, like who he is, because he doesn't remember anything, like what made him, and that's what makes this movie so cool. Whenever Logan is 100% focal point of the film, he's in almost every scene. That's when these movies truly strive, and X2 is straight badass. Next up is X-Men First Class, another film going in the amazing tier. This is a prequel trilogy, kind of what Star Wars did. Had the original X-Men trilogy, and then did a prequel trilogy, and X-Men First Class is awesome, meeting a young Charles Xavier, played by James McAvoy, and then you also have a young Magneto, played by Michael Fassbender. It is so cool. You have a young Mystique before she's Mystique, and Raven, played by Jennifer Lawrence. You have a fantastic cast here, and seeing all these young kids get together as X-Men in the First Class before the X-Men is even really a thing is so awesome, so badass to me, and kind of makes the timeline not confusing, but also like Mystique never looks as old as Charles Xavier when Charles Xavier's old. That's all I'm going to say there, but X-Men First Class is so cool. A great start into the prequel trilogy for the X-Men universe. Next up is the reason we're doing this video, the New Mutants. I'm going to have to put the New Mutants in meh. I did not hate this movie. I didn't really like it. There's lots of problems here. I'm excited we got it, and I'm glad we got it, but the New Mutants it's kind of a mess, and that's a problem, and it's obviously just, it's unfortunate. I was excited to see it, and I didn't hate it when I left, but the script here isn't very good. The characters aren't very, like, easy to root for. You don't really like any of them. There's relationships in there that are very predictable. This movie itself is very predictable, and the third act, although it's my favorite part of the film, is definitely a little bit underwhelming, and unfortunately, the CGI here just doesn't look that great either. And next up, this is actually my favorite X-Men movie, Days of Future Past. Rewatched it literally last night in preparation for this, and I loved every second. This is going in the amazing tier, and if I rank these, it would go this and then Logan. That's how much I love Days of Future Past. Having the time travel, it can be very confusing, and this one just works so well, and the stakes are so high because basically if they don't fix the past, then everyone in the present is going to die, including Logan himself. He goes back and they have to hold him there the whole time, and they use his mind to go back and time travel. It is very well done. You have a young Charles Xavier who doesn't have his powers anymore, so he could walk. You have a young Magneto who's in like the Pentagon prison. It is so cool. Magneto's lifting an entire stadium to kill the Sentinels. You even have Tyrion Lannister himself as Dr. Trask. A very awesome movie, a very epic movie, and if time travel's done right, I am a time travel movie lover. So if they can do it right, it is flat out awesome. And last, and in my opinion, certainly not least, this movie is going at X-Men Origins. It has to go. I'm going to put it in the good tier as well with the other ones, just because I have so much nostalgia for this movie. Yes, it's not very good. It's kind of a guilty pleasure, but it holds such a deep place in my heart. I watched this film all the time as a kid. My brother and I watched everything they did with this, and we got our first glimpse of Deadpool here. Not a fan now what they do with him, but back in the day when I was a little kid, I thought it was awesome. I thought it was so cool, and I like how in Deadpool 2 they make fun of it, like he goes back and he just kills him with a gun. It's definitely the butt of the joke now, but I watched the movie countless times with my family, with my brother, my friends. We loved every second of it, and seeing Wolverine's whole origin and how he came to be, and like basically all the glimpses we got to see that play out. And if you watch all the other X-Men movies where he has these flashbacks, even in Days of the Future Past, he has these flashbacks, you get to see that movie play out, flesh out. And there's a brother story in here. Any story, movie with a brother story, I am for. So that's going to do it for our tier list ranking of the X-Men. And real quick, while we're here, we can go ahead and rank these guys really fast. First up, number 1 will be Days of Future Past. Number 2 is Logan. Number 3 is Deadpool 2. Number 4 is First Class. Number 5 is X2. Number 6 is Deadpool. Number 7 will be X-Men. Number 8, The Last Stand. Number 9, X-Men Origins. Number 10, The Wolverine. Number 11, Dark Phoenix. Number 12, Apocalypse. And unfortunately, in last place, The New Mutants. That's just my ranking. Let me know what you guys thought down below in the comment section. How does your guys' ranking compare? Thank you guys so much for watching. Hit that thumbs up button and hit that subscribe button. Lots more content coming this week. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next time.